Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Brett McCullum, and I'm here today with Curtis Waters. Today, we're going to be talking about building real estate portfolios. Before we do, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs to 5X their businesses to allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted and live the lives they've always dreamed of. Without further ado, Curtis, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Great day.
Perfect. Great. I really appreciate you being here. This is great. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Before we get into all the, there's a lot we're going to talk about. Before we get into everything, can you do me a favor, kind of rewind a little bit, build some context and history? Who is Mr. Curtis Waters?
All right. Well, I'm Curtis Waters, and I'm an investor of rental properties. So, previous to getting involved with real estate, I've got a degree in electrical engineering and a master's in business. And I was in the corporate world and high-tech sales for a number of years. But I saw cracks in that. I was with a company, they didn't receive their round of venture capital funding. And they said, well, if you're not in Texas where our office is, we're scaling back. Here's 4 weeks of severance. Good luck. And I had been investigating real estate. And I said, now's the time. And so I jumped in. And it's been quite a journey.
When was that? When was the first dip the toe in the water into real estate, so to speak?
2014.
2014. Okay. So all right. So you were coming out of high tech. Was it the sales side of that though? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What was the kind of a normal everyday kind of life like for that?
Well, probably 3 days a week I was on the road visiting some enterprise company, or I also dealt with universities and selling them technical solutions.
Okay.
So
definitely more B2B then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How long were you doing that for, give or take?
About 25 years.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And I don't hope I'm not overstepping to ask this. 3 days a week, 25 years on the road, like 3 days a week that's got to be a lot. Mentally and physically even.
I got lifetime status with a number of airlines and hotels and so on.
Yeah,
I remember I would take my family on vacation and we'd open the door to a hotel room and I go, "Hey, welcome to my second home."
So when we do some travel from time to time, different things, and I'm able to bring my family, a lot of times we do it on the back end of because I do some B2B things too from different things that we work on, and I'll bring okay, I have to work for 2 days.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And then we're going to vacation for the next 5, kind of thing,
Right.
So I just bring them with, and then we just kind of continue and hang out afterwards. But yeah, because that's tough, with for that much travel all the time. Did it ever before I got into real estate? I got into real estate right around 2015, and right before that, I was driving, doing B2B for physical therapy, for auto accident care. So
Okay.
our company had 7 offices in 6 cities, and my job was driving between all of them every single day. And that was a toll. And I started realizing, I'm curious your experience, because you did it for much longer than I did. My back and my hips started hurting so bad after about a year of doing that. Did you ever experience anything with that at all?
Yeah, you end up with some physical pain. Honestly, when you're traveling, you're not eating well.
Mm,
Uh, the days are long, the sleep isn't great, but it's part of what you put up with.
sure. Yeah, I was just curious because I remember going through that, and I'm like, man, and you're not wrong on the eating side. I've always been very high metabolism, very lean, and next thing I know, I'm like, oh no. I started realizing that changed real quickly.
Yes.
But yeah. So all right, so it's 2014. What was the first experience into real estate? What was the first move?
So, a little before the company said, hey, good luck, goodbye, I bought a turnkey rental in my self-directed IRA.
Okay.
And then once they said goodbye, probably 5 weeks later, I bought my first rental. So it was a 2-bedroom home in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I think I paid $33,000 for it, and it was missing an HVAC. Um, and I asked the tenant, I said, hey, this only makes sense if the rent is higher. And she goes, well, during the winter, we do get some cold weather here in Charlotte. I'm running space heaters. She goes, I'd be willing to pay more if I had central. So the pad was there, the wiring was there. Her landlord had simply moved the unit somewhere else and figured she could put up with it.
Mm.
So I raised the rent $150 and put in an HVAC system.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I figured out how to buy them wholesale, and I found a contractor and negotiated, like $1,000 to put it in. And I had my first rental.
Wow. Did you so you found, okay, let's back up a little bit. So you had the turnkey property that you bought. That was before this one, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Was that just because you just were looking for something, or was that were you already I've always been curious, really itching in the real estate side of things. What was going on? Because buying 2 properties within a short amount of time of each other typically doesn't happen by chance. What was going on at that point that you were like, yep, going into real estate? Well, obviously the job situation, but
Right.
what makes you go into real estate at that point?
So I looked at 90% of the millionaires in U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Had significant real estate in their portfolio. Also, at that roughly a year before I bought my first rental, I met Bonnie Laszlo, who I would end up partnering with her later.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And, I'd been going to local real estate meetups, and people were talking about wholesaling and fix and flip. And I have a minor knowledge of taxes. And I looked at, whoa, the taxes on this is high.
Yeah.
And, at that time, I was in my mid-50s, and I was looking for, hey, I want to really juice up my retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And it became, hey, I'm going to go build cash flowing assets.
There you go. Yeah, that's incredible. I think, and good for you. I mean, I really, really, really commend a person that looks at, because, all right, I'm just going to say it. Starting in real estate at coming into the end of your working career, right? Your quote unquote professional years, and starting real estate is not something we see a lot of, because people typically want to start sooner and then have something for later kind of thing. That's
right.
But man, what a blessing because we've talked a little, like, what a blessing you just starting has done for what you've done. Like, I think that's incredible that you just did it, and I'm like, there's some kind of mental fortitude that happens, that I think as entrepreneurs, some of us have and some don't, but something as an entrepreneur that you've always had in you, even if it was, you just started it. So good for you. That's incredible, Curtis. I think that's such a phenomenal thing that you've done. So you bought those first two properties. You got your second one. You raised the rents $150. Now, is it cash flowing at that point?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, the other decision I made to get started is I don't like using my own money. I think maybe it was Kiyosaki that says lazy people use their own money. So at that time, I had a great credit score. I went and got business funding. So, some of it was lines of credit and credit cards. And that's how I bought my first couple of rentals.
Wow.
So I did that, and I followed that. I don't use my money.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is 2014. You're buying property. Were you buying pretty rapidly, or are you kind of doing like a couple here and there? Like, what was the plan back when you started?
Well, the plan was to expand and to expand quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I started, I think the number I ran, because I just looked at this the other day, in my first year I bought 17 doors.
Wow. Okay.
So.
Wow. Yeah, that answers the question. So you obviously came from a high level of business background. You mentioned in, your masters, and things like that, and then running B2B for so many years, having high level business experience. Do you think that's what maybe allowed you, out of the gate, just buying 17 doors is without experience in the real estate world, quote unquote, right? Yeah. Do you think that's what led you to be able to have, I'm sure you had some roadblocks and some, speed humps on the way in doing some of that.
Sure.
But do you think that's what led you to be able to, like, I feel confident to be able to do this?
So the thing that I had to my benefit was, one, the relationships. I found this out, in my business career, especially in sales, how important building relationships was to your success. So first major relationship I started was with the person that kind of led me to buy and hold as a strategy, and that was Bonnie Laszlo. And, she had meetings.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Every week. And what made it, and they were all free of charge. And what made it great for me is you can come to these meetings, you're meeting with other local investors. And, I'm also in a situation where there were other people that were doing renovations and purchasing and financing. And, I was in a community that essentially supported the growth that I was looking for.
Yeah, that's really the support side of it too, right? That's incredible. And I want to get to Bonnie here in a moment. Your first year, 17 doors, moving on. Can you talk about, because a lot of people listening, Curtis, are, right now they're taking the plunge into the real estate world, and they're getting to that, they've bought a, couple of houses here and there kind of thing, and they're in the game,
Right.
And I'm going to ask you to rewind a bit, because I know it's been, 10, 11 years at this point. Do you remember like any significant like challenges that you kind of faced that maybe were unexpected from doing that?
Yeah, I remember in my first year, um, I bought 3 homes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I bought them for under $30,000. And, I faced some challenges there. Um, I was partnered with another investor at the time that,
Mm-hmm.
liked the idea of growing rentals. However, based upon what we were doing, he needed the money out of them. So we keep them for a year, sell them long term, take the long term capital gain. So we got to sell these after a year, and we hadn't done any inspection on them.
Oh, wow.
We had a contractor who looked, and he goes, "Oh yeah, these are great." Well, I learned a valuable lesson at that point. When you're starting out, always use a licensed home inspector, because you don't know what you don't know.
Sure.
So whenever I went to sell these homes, I found out one of them had a brand new electrical panel, but behind the electrical panel, the wiring, this was built on a crawl space, the wiring to the rest of the house, they hadn't touched. So behind there, the inspector found that all the wires to outlets and other things in the house were just wrapped together.
Oh,
Nothing
no.
was in any boxes for
Right.
safety. There were outlets that didn't work. And, that certainly didn't meet building code.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I've been there before. Um,
So, that was, I think, a $4,500 hit
easy. Yep.
to
Depending on the service, for
to what I
sure.
got out of it.
We had a property not even long ago, and I'm been doing this a long time, and I thought we stripped that property down to the studs, right? And we went, and it was a full like, roof to slab rehab kind of thing.
Right.
And when we listed it and put it on the market, I never had anybody go in the attic and check wiring issues. So we get the power turned on, everything's like, because we kind of waited till the end to turn everything on. There's just some little, people that flip houses, they'll tell you, like, sometimes you don't want to get a bunch of inspections along the way. because it'll slow things down. They'll shut you down, stuff like that. So we kind of waited. Hindsight being what it is, probably should have had this going a long time ago. Instead of
Right.
trying to take some shortcuts and, that sort of thing. We had a small fire in the attic because once we turned everything on, things started sparking.
Right.
We would have caught that if we would have been checking it, as we should have.
Yeah.
That was recently. I'm like, I know better. I've been there, man.
Yeah.
And then again, it was like $6,200 was the hit on that one, and we were done. We were on the market already. So
Yeah, it's
it happened.
it's a lesson you learn that even though you have years of experience, there are shortcuts that you're taking a risk on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, let's talk about this. So you meet Bonnie, you get things, and then eventually, because we talked pre-show a little bit, and eventually you guys, kind of partner up on things. When did that happen?
So let me step back for a minute
Sure.
that leads up to this. So I had been involved with Bonnie. She has a group that since COVID, and we went from in-person meetings to Zoom meetings.
Okay.
And so I was involved with these, if she couldn't make a meeting, I would facilitate it. And I had done a number of renovations on properties in a town close to Charlotte, and they were under a code enforcement violation.
Okay.
So I bought them a killer deal. I bought 5 houses. There's one bedroom, 3 2-bedrooms, and a 3-bedroom that I bought for
Okay.
$50,000 a piece.
Oh, wow.
Code enforcement had told the owner, hey, you need to do something with these or we're going to demolish 3 of your houses. So, the guy was a tired landlord. So I bought them for 15, used other people's money, and I got them all done. They had to go through multiple inspections, not only inspections for permits, but then code enforcement had to come and look at them. And occasionally they would find things that the building inspectors didn't find. So I got it all done. And somebody in code enforcement said, hey, we're really amazed that you got these done and you got them done in a relatively short period of time. Typically, people will come in, buy these properties, fail, and now they're back in code enforcement violation.
Mm.
So what I had done is I was meeting with code enforcement, probably every 4 to 6 weeks. I just drop by their office, say hi. And one day I asked the fateful question, do you know any other person that has properties under code enforcement that might be looking to sell? And they said, well, there's an out-of-state company that owns about 100. And they told us that if, you find anybody, that we would be open to sell. So I remember it was a Tuesday sometime in late 2016.
Okay.
And I was going into one of our Hobby Millionaire meetings, and my phone rang. It was a call back from a guy. It was a small family office. And I said, look, I'm just about to go into a meeting. Can I call you back in 2 hours? Because I know a meeting was an hour. And after the meeting was done, Bonnie was there, and I said, hey, Bonnie, I have an opportunity to buy 100 houses, the entire portfolio, and I'd like you to partner with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bonnie actually was looking at downsizing, but, both of us have kind of a house addiction.
Yeah.
So I asked Bonnie, I said, hey, do you want to partner? I said 50-50. And she said yes. So we started negotiations, eventually negotiated $50 a house option fee, a 3-year option, which meant we had 3 years to buy the house. Vacant houses like 19,000, occupied 29,000. In order to do this, the family office wanted to get rid of their property manager. So Bonnie and I are both real estate agents, so she formed a property management company. And we took off from there. And within that 3-year period, we bought out all of those 100 properties.
Oh,
and
wow.
it changed my life.
No, man, that's incredible. That's really cool. So, and I love that you're doing it on a creative structure, and a lot of the nature of social media and in the influencer world is that you know things become more popularized very quickly, you know with a microscope or a magnifying glass under it. And I think a lot of the creative finance thing has gotten up since really post COVID. I think got really big, you know.
Right.
But I mean, obviously, well before that. I mean, honestly, people have been doing creative finance since the dawn of time, right? Like this is
Sure.
when you study real estate, you tend to see that. But man, I love that you guys have the foresight to do that. It gave you 3 years to work out 100 properties versus I have to come up with it all at once right now for 100 properties.
Right.
That could have been, I mean, especially because you're still fairly, I mean, you've been buying houses, but I mean, that's a fairly new concept to a newer investor you've only been in a couple of years to go, I got to tackle 100 houses at once,
Yes.
because I like to share a lot of my mistakes too, right? So I've wholesaled hundreds and hundreds of houses, and I thought at this point in my and I thought, you know what, the next step, Curtis, I'm gonna flip all the houses too, right? And so I flipped houses here and there, that sort of thing. But what I did was I took on a bunch of them all at once. And so the relation I'm making here is it's one thing to flip a house or two. It's one thing to buy, onesie twosies, on the rentals and stuff. It's another thing to try to flip at volume all at once. So, way to have the foresight to go, hey, let's spread this out over 3 years, not all at once, because
Right.
man, that was one of the longest year and a halves of my life was trying to navigate all these flips that I had no idea what I was doing. Because flipping 1 or 2 houses is one thing, flipping 20 at the same time is different.
Yeah. Managing all those teams, managing your cash flow as well.
Oh, the cash flow part of it, no doubt. That's where I honestly, somebody told me, I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm ever gonna. After I was like, I'm never gonna flip another house again. And the guy looked at me and he said, Brett, you just got the PhD in what not to do. You can't quit now, And it's when he said that to me, something clicked. And I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, I did learn a lot of hard lessons, cost me a lot of money. But man, good for you guys. That's really cool. So catch me. All right. So bring it kind of current. So you guys, that 3-year run there, you buy all these properties. What has life been like since then, and where are you at today?
So since then, some of the houses we kept, some we sold. Like we got down toward the end, and we sold some of the houses. I think in one transaction we sold 7 or 8, and then 1031 them. So
Yeah.
the tax-free exchange into 15.
Okay.
So we did things like that. We also bought multifamily. So our first foray into something over 5 was we had a local wholesaler come to us, and he had 20 doors under contract for $20,000 a door, offered to us for $25,000 a door.
Yeah.
So we bought that. That allowed me to develop a relationship with that owner. Look him up in tax records and find he owns 76 doors.
Oh, wow.
Apartments, all small apartments. So, that led to developing that relationship. I mean, he was getting on in years. And, I remember I bought all but his last 45, and he goes, "Hey, I'm not going to sell my remaining 45. I'm going to leave these to my kids."
Yeah.
So, with my belief and follow up back in late 2022, I stop in to see him at the little office that he had at his 45 unit apartment. And I walk in and he goes, "Oh, geez, he's here to get me to sell him something." I said, "Nah, I'm just stopping by and see how you are, landlord to landlord." About 10 seconds later, a guy comes in to pay his rent. Now, this guy collects cash.
Hmm.
And whenever the tenant comes in to pay, the guy sitting in there at his desk reaches over with his left hand and puts his hand on his pistol. Always kept a pistol on his desk. And so the tenant leaves, and I said, "Do you like having to have a pistol on your desk?" And he goes, "Well, I don't have these fancy property management systems like you guys do. I'm collecting cash." And, that got me thinking. I said, "You only come in for a couple hours a day. Why do you still do this?" He goes, "I like the money."
Hmm.
And I said, "Do you think your sons still want this when you pass?" And he goes, "Yeah, at one point I thought they did, but I don't think they want it." I said, "Look, if I made you an offer that I would give you, say, 10 grand a month, would you sell or finance them to me?" And he thought for a minute, and we negotiated a sales price and everything, a down payment. And he said, "Okay." I found someone else to put up the down payment, and we took on those 45.
Wow. All from relationships too, man. That's really beautiful. So how many doors today? Because I know it ebbs and flows. You're buying, you're selling,
Yeah.
but where do you guys? What's the holding amount today?
Gee, I'm always trying to keep count. We recently bought a portfolio of 10 single family. I mean, I know a lot of people love multifamily, even small, but people talk about small apartments. They're nice if you can buy them at the right price,
Sure.
but the demand has really driven up the per door price.
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
many cases, it's easier to buy single family. If you need to liquidate them, tenant leaves, you put it on the market, and they're
Right.
valued at more than the apartments are. So I think, I think it's somewhere over 140, 150.
Wow. And you've been at this 11 years. Like that's the crazy part, and
Yeah.
good.
And these came together starting in late 2016 because everything I had with the previous partner, we sold.
Okay. Wow. There you go. This kind of leads me to a point though of what we were talking about with you're building relationships, you're doing like that's how this is built. It wasn't from just let me make a bunch of offers. It was relationship driven. Correct me if I'm wrong, because we kind of touched on it briefly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's primarily relationship driven to find the opportunities. I mean, a lot of opportunities, they come to me. Occasionally, I will find one out in the wild, you
Hmm.
know. Um, I bought 13 units off of MLS
Yeah.
back in 2022. They were fantastically priced.
Yeah.
So, occasionally that does come up. But
Primarily relationship.
primarily the deals come to me. The last 10, they were on a Facebook group in the chat.
Oh wow. Yeah,
So
that's cool. Didn't you, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm pretty sure you wrote a book on this whole thing too, though. Am I right?
yes, yeah. I wrote a book
Oh, there it
called
is.
The Relationship Blueprint: Unleashing the Power of Business Connections.
That's
So
killer.
I had people ask me about, gee, how did you do this?
Hmm.
And, my mantra is I don't spend my own money to buy property.
Hmm.
I either find someone that's going to loan me the money. Whenever I started out, I built a network of other investors that had money in their self-directed IRA.
Yeah.
And, I still have that I use. So building these relationships was key. So in my book, I talk about my path from no properties to plenty of properties. And then I talk about other things in the book about the importance of follow-up, the importance of adding value. When you meet someone, it's real easy to talk about, hey, I'm doing this, I did this, whatever. People today are looking at, what value can I add? Typically someone says, oh, you got a lot. Can I have breakfast with you or get coffee or lunch? I can buy my own meals. I'm busy. Yeah. So, find me at an event I'm at, a local meeting, find me on Zoom. Bonnie has a Zoom she does multiple times a week, and I'm on, 99% of those.
Yeah. And you wrote the book there. How can people find that? Because that's a great way to connect with you, honestly. It's on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. You can buy it in paperback, hardback, Kindle, even have an Audible version.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, I mean, because that's such a powerful, I talk about it from time to time, it's relationship capital. It's...
Yes.
Yeah. You've been making deposits into all these relationships. So the natural withdrawal process is the quote unquote relationship money is already in that bank. So the withdrawal is very easy.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that, Curtis. That's incredible. And we'll make sure we put that in the show notes for everybody as well. And if any other opportunities like social media, things like that, people can reach out if they want to find out a little bit more on the Zooms and things like that.
I do have a website called entrepreneursreport.com.
Okay.
Where I talk about real estate investing. I also have some calculators on there, like if you're doing a commercial loan, and that's all I do. Everything I own is in an LLC. Mm-hmm. You're looking at a debt service coverage ratio loan, DSCR loan. I have calculators for that. I have calculators for the benchmarks that Bonnie started. For instance, she has a $200 benchmark. You buy a house for $100,000, $1,000 breaks you even. So you want to run it for $1,200. So you have that $200. And she even looks at cap rate on single family homes. So, everything you buy should have a 10% cap rate. Any appreciation you get, hey, that's icing on the cake.
Right. Love that. Well, man, this has been great. We'll make sure all of that's in the show notes for everybody to follow along as well. I encourage you guys to reach out, connect, jump on Amazon, check out the book there as well. And man, Curtis, this has been so good. Thanks for being here with me today.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And guys, to you as well, thank you for being here and spending your time. We will see each of you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.